The storm cracked the sky open like broken glass. Rain fell in heavy sheets over the ruins of an old human city, turning stone into mud and metal into rivers of rust. A shadow tore through the clouds. The dragon was falling. Its wings were shredded, one horn cracked, and dark blood streamed down its chest. It had been flying for hours without rest, but now its body was failing. Behind it, the sky lit up again, sharp flashes of white fire cutting through the storm. Something was chasing it. Something fast. Something that did not stop. The dragon forced itself lower, breathing hard. Every beat of its wings sent pain through its body. It did not know this place. Only ruins. Broken towers. Empty roads swallowed by vines. It needed shelter. Now, another blast of light cut the sky behind it. The dragon twisted midair, barely avoiding it. The shockwave still hit its wings, pushing it down like a stone. It crashed through the roof of a half-collapsed building. Stone broke. Dust exploded into the air. The dragon hit the ground hard, sliding across cold marble tiles. Its claws scraped deep marks into the floor. It tried to rise, but its legs shook. Silence followed. Inside the building, the air felt wrong. Not dead. Not alive. Something in between. The dragon lifted its head slowly. Rows of tall shelves stood around it. Endless lines of old objects. Books. Thousands of them. Some were fallen, some still standing, all covered in dust like forgotten memories. A human library. The dragon had seen human ruins before. They were usually empty, burned, or stripped clean. But this place felt different. It felt protected. Then it heard something. A slow page turning. The dragon froze. From between two tall shelves, an old man stepped out. He moved slowly like he had all the time in the world. White hair. Calm eyes. No weapon. No fear. He held a book in one hand as if nothing strange had entered his world. The dragon's instinct screamed. Humans always feared dragons. They ran. They hid. They prayed. This one did not move. The old man looked at the dragon for a long moment. Then he closed the book gently. "You're late," he said in a calm voice. The dragon blinked once. It did not understand the language fully, but the meaning reached it anyway. Not through words. Through tone. Through confidence. It was not a greeting. It was an observation. The dragon lowered its head slightly, confused and weak. Blood dripped onto the stone floor. It tried to stand straighter to show strength, but its body betrayed it. Outside, the sky flashed again. A deep mechanical roar followed. The building shook lightly. The old man sighed like he had expected this. "So it finally found you," he said. The dragon's eyes widened slightly. It turned its head toward the broken wall. Another flash of light burned across the storm. The shape behind it was still unclear, but it was coming closer. Fast. The dragon tried to step back, but its leg collapsed. It growled low, not in anger but in pain. It had survived wars, hunters, and sky beasts. But now, inside this strange quiet building, it felt cornered. The old man walked forward. The dragon reacted instantly, lifting its head, baring its teeth. A weak warning. A final defense. But the man did not stop. He stopped only when he stood a few steps away from the dragon's face. Close enough to be crushed. Close enough to die. Instead of fear, there was curiosity in his eyes. "You're bleeding," he said simply. The dragon did not understand why that mattered. Another shockwave hit outside. The wall cracked. Dust fell from the ceiling. The building groaned like it might collapse at any moment. The old man finally moved faster. Not away. Toward the dragon. That was the first real shock. He grabbed a thick rope hidden behind a shelf and pulled hard. A section of the floor shifted with a deep mechanical sound. Stone slid aside, revealing stairs going down into darkness. The dragon stared. The old man pointed down. "Move," he said. The dragon did not move. Could not trust him. Humans were dangerous. But something outside was worse. A loud tearing sound came from above. Metal screamed. The sky outside turned bright white for a second. The hunter was close. Too close. The old man suddenly grabbed the dragon's damaged wing. The dragon roared in shock and pain, swinging its claw instinctively. It stopped just before hitting him. Something in the man's grip was firm. Not strong. Not magical. Just certain. "Down," the man repeated louder this time. And for reasons the dragon could not explain, it obeyed. They moved together into the hidden stairway. The old man went first, pulling the dragon slowly despite its size. Every step deeper made the air colder, heavier. Above them, the library shook violently. A part of the roof exploded inward. A flash of impossible light filled the entrance. Something massive landed outside the library. The dragon turned its head one last time before the stairs swallowed it fully into darkness. Through the broken wall, it saw a shape standing in the storm. Not alive. Not natural. Something built. And it was looking directly at the library. The last thing the dragon heard before the door sealed above it was the sound of the old man whispering. I knew they would come back eventually. Then the stone door closed. And something inside the library clicked awake. The stone door sealed behind them with a deep, final sound that echoed through the underground stairs. For a moment there was only silence again, but this silence was heavier than before. It felt like the air itself was holding its breath. The dragon lay on the cold steps, breathing hard. Every breath burned inside its chest. Its wounded wing dragged against the stone, leaving a thin trail of dark blood. It tried to move, but pain shot through its body like fire. The old man did not rush. He walked a few steps down, then stopped and listened. Above them, the library shook again. Dust fell from the ceiling in small waves. Something heavy was moving outside. Something patient. The man finally spoke without looking back. It found the surface. The dragon lifted its head slightly. It still did not fully trust him, but there was no choice left. The thing outside was worse than hunger, worse than hunters, worse than anything it had faced before. Another distant, metal-striking stone. The ground trembled. The old man turned and looked at the dragon for the first time since they entered the stairs. You can barely stand, he said. The dragon gave a low, broken growl. It did not need sympathy. It needed escape. The man nodded once like he understood that answer. Then he did something strange. He placed his hand against the wall. At first nothing happened. Just stone and dust. But then faint lines appeared under his palm, soft glowing marks like veins of light waking up after sleep. The dragon froze. The wall responded. Shelves far above shifted with a low mechanical hum. The entire structure of the library was not just stone. It was something built on top of something older. Much older. A hidden system awakened. The old man whispered, "Still alive, good." The dragon's instincts screamed louder now. This place was not safe. It was not just shelter. It was a trap or a weapon. The man looked down the stairs. We don't have much time. A sudden crash shook the entrance above them. The stone door cracked slightly. A thin beam of white light pierced through the crack like a blade. The dragon tried to push itself up again. This time it succeeded halfway, shaking violently. It was refusing to die here. The old man stepped closer and suddenly grabbed a metal handle hidden in the stair wall. He pulled it down hard. The entire stairway shifted. A deep grinding sound filled the space as the walls began to move. Stone panels rotated. The staircase was not just a path, it was part of a larger moving system. The dragon's eyes widened. The stairs were descending. Slowly, the entire chamber was moving downward like an elevator built inside ancient rock. The old man steadied himself against the wall. Don't fall, he said calmly. The dragon almost wanted to laugh at that. It was bleeding, broken, and hunted by something that could tear cities apart, and the human was worried about falling. Another shockwave hit above. The broken entrance finally gave way. Through the crack, the dragon saw it clearly for the first time. A shape stood in the ruined library above. It was massive but not alive. Its body was smooth, black, and shaped with perfect angles. Light moved across its surface like scanning eyes. It had no wings, no breath, no soul. But it moved with purpose. It tilted slightly as if it was reading the structure below. Then it stepped forward. The library above groaned as the machine began to descend toward the stairs. The old man cursed under his breath for the first time. Too early. The dragon turned sharply toward him. It finally understood something important from his tone. This was not part of the plan. The machine outside had found them faster than expected. The stair system dropped faster now. The walls shook. Dust and fragments fell around them like rain inside stone. The dragon forced itself upright fully now. Pain didn't matter anymore. Survival did. It looked at the man. Why, help, it growled in broken understanding. The old man paused for half a second, as if the question carried weight he didn't expect. Then he answered simply. Because if you die, it won't stop with you. That sentence did not explain everything. But it explained enough. The stairs reached a lower level and slowed. A massive underground hall opened around them, filled with towering shelves, ancient machines, and sealed glass structures glowing faintly in the dark. The dragon stared in shock. This was not a basement. This was a buried archive. A living one. The machine above crashed into the upper stair entrance. Stone shattered. Light flooded downward. Was coming. The old man stepped forward into the hall and spoke louder now, as if addressing the entire structure itself. Archive Layer 3, wake up. The hall responded. Faint lights flickered across the walls. Systems that had not moved in centuries began to hum. The dragon felt it, something shifting in the air itself. Like the building was no longer just a place. It was waking up as something else. The machine above pushed deeper, tearing through stone. The dragon took a shaky step forward, despite its pain. It looked at the old man again. This time the question in its eyes was different. Not, why help me? But what is this place? Before the old man could answer, a new sound filled the hall. A voice. Not human. Not machine. Something between both. Archive defense protocols activated. The lights brightened. And the entire underground library began to move. The underground hall lit up in pulses, like something deep inside the structure was waking up after a very long sleep. Dust fell from the ceiling in thin streams. The air grew warmer, almost alive. The dragon stood unsteady, its wounded wings shaking as it tried to stay upright. It had never felt anything like this place. Not caves. Not nests. Not ruins. This was different. This place felt like it was thinking. The old man stepped forward slowly, his eyes fixed on the glowing walls. Don't panic, he said without looking at the dragon. The dragon gave a weak, sharp breath. Panic was already inside it. Above them, the machine continued tearing through the upper levels. Each impact sent deep vibrations through the archive. Stone cracked. Metal screamed. The enemy was still coming down. But now, something else was answering it. The walls of the hall shifted again. Hidden panels slid open, revealing rows of sealed structures, glass pods filled with floating symbols, broken holographic cores, and strange mechanical skeletons of unknown designs. The dragon's instincts screamed louder. This was not a library. This was a storage of dead things that were never meant to be found. The old man walked toward one of the glowing pods. He placed his hand on it carefully, like greeting an old friend. I thought you were gone, he said softly. The dragon tilted its head. Even in pain, it was watching him closely now. The man was not afraid of the awakening system. He knew it. That realization changed everything. A sharp sound echoed from above. The machine broke through another layer. Dust and broken stone rained down through cracks in the ceiling. The dragon took a step back instinctively, but its leg gave slightly. It almost fell. The old man finally turned toward it. You need to stay conscious, he said. If you collapse, the system will not recognize you anymore. The dragon growled weakly. System? The man didn't answer directly. Instead, he looked at the glowing hall. Think of it as a memory that fights back, he said. Before the dragon could respond, the entire hall shook violently. A deep impact. The machine had reached the lower access point. A section of the ceiling burst open, and a flood of white light poured into the hall. The enemy finally revealed itself fully. It was not just one machine anymore. Smaller units dropped in first, thin, floating structures with scanning beams that swept across everything. Behind them, something larger descended slowly, breaking through stone like it was paper. It had no face. Only shifting surfaces of black metal and rotating light patterns that scanned constantly. The dragon stepped back, instinctively baring its teeth. But something strange happened. The machine paused. Its light shifted directly toward the dragon. Then toward the old man. A cold voice echoed through the hall again. Priority target identified. Archive core signal. The old man whispered, almost to himself. So it finally noticed. The dragon turned sharply. What is it? It growled. The man hesitated for a moment, then answered. A cleaner, he said. It removes things that should not exist anymore. Another beam shot down from the floating units. The beam hit a nearby pod, and instantly the pod dissolved into static light, erased without sound. The dragon's eyes widened. Not destroyed. Erased. The old man moved quickly now. For the first time, urgency entered his movements. He walked to a central platform in the hall and pressed his palm against the circular interface. The entire archive responded. Lines of light spread outward like veins awakening under skin. The dragon felt it again, that strange pressure in the air. The system was preparing something. But the machine was faster. The larger unit descended fully into the hall, crushing shelves as it landed. The impact sent shockwaves that almost knocked the dragon down completely. The dragon roared in pain and frustration, trying to hold itself steady. The old man shouted, "Stay behind me." That command should not have mattered. But it did. The dragon hesitated for a fraction of a second, then obeyed. Not out of fear. Out of instinct. The man was doing something it did not understand but clearly controlled part of this place. The machine shifted again. Its focus locked onto the central platform. Archive core detected. Initiating extraction. The hull began to collapse inward as gravity itself felt unstable. The old man gritted his teeth. I was hoping to avoid this step. He turned slightly toward the dragon. Then he said something that changed everything. I need your help. The dragon blinked. Help? It repeated slowly. The man nodded. You are part of the system now. Whether you know it or not. The dragon's breathing became heavier. Pain, confusion, fear, all mixing together. It was still wounded. Still hunted. Still dying slowly. But the machine above was not stopping. And now it had a target that included both of them. The old man placed his hand on the interface again. The glowing lines around the hull intensified. This will hurt, he said quietly. Before the dragon could react, a surge of light shot from the floor into its body. The dragon roared in shock. Its vision fractured. Memories it never had flooded its mind, strange symbols, structured patterns, systems of knowledge forming like endless chains. The dragon collapsed to one knee, shaking violently as something inside it changed. The machine paused again. Then spoke. Anomaly detected. The dragon lifted its head slowly, eyes glowing faintly with unfamiliar light. The old man looked at it. And for the first time there was fear in his voice. Good, he whispered. It worked. Above them the machine prepared its next strike. But now the dragon was no longer just a wounded creature. Something new was waking inside it. The hull trembled as the machine prepared its next strike. Dust and broken fragments floated in the air like frozen rain. The light from the ceiling was unstable now, flickering between white and deep red warning pulses. The dragon was on its knees, breathing heavily. Its body was still wounded, but something inside it had changed. Strange patterns of light moved under its skin like flowing rivers of memory. It did not understand them, but it could feel them reacting to the room around it. The old man stood close, one hand still on the glowing interface. His face was tight with focus, but his eyes kept shifting toward the dragon, watching it carefully. You're stabilizing, he said. The dragon lifted its head slowly. Its voice came out rough but different. What did you do to me? The man did not answer immediately. Another loud crash echoed from above as the machine forced its way deeper. The entire structure groaned under pressure. Instead, the man said, If I didn't, you would already be dead. The dragon tried to rise, but its legs shook violently. It was no longer just pain, it was overload. Too much information too fast. Its mind felt like it was expanding and breaking at the same time. Then the machine dropped into the hull fully. It landed with crushing force, breaking ancient shelves and scattering glowing pods like dust. The impact sent a wave of energy through the floor. The dragon was thrown sideways, hitting the stone hard. The old man barely kept his balance. The machine rotated slowly, scanning everything. Its surface shifted constantly, adjusting like it was learning. Then it spoke again. Hybrid signal confirmed. Priority upgrade required. The dragon struggled to stand. It looked at the machine and something inside its mind reacted. Not fear alone. Recognition. It could feel the structure of it now, like lines and patterns instead of just a threat. The old man stepped forward slightly. No, he said firmly. The machine paused. That was new. The dragon looked at him in shock. It listens to you? The man shook his head once. No. It calculates me. The machine tilted slightly as if studying him. Then it responded. Archive keeper identified. You are in error. The hull shook again as the machine fired a beam directly toward the central platform. The old man reacted instantly. He slammed his hand down on the interface. A barrier of light erupted from the floor, intercepting the attack midair. The collision created a violent shockwave that threw both the man and dragon backward. The dragon hit the ground hard, but this time it recovered faster. His body moved differently now, more aware, more responsive. It could feel the structure of the hull like it was part of its senses. It slowly stood. The machine noticed. Signal evolution detected. The dragon growled, but the sound was layered now, part instinct, part something structured beneath it. I don't understand this place, it said through clenched teeth, but I understand you. The machine shifted focus entirely to the dragon. Upgrade candidate confirmed. The dragon suddenly felt a pressure in its mind again. Like something trying to pull it apart and rebuild it. It screamed in pain, dropping to one knee again. The old man shouted, Fight it. Don't let it overwrite you. The dragon shook violently. I can't. The man stepped closer, risking everything as beams of scanning light passed near him. Yes, you can, he said sharply. You're not just reacting anymore. You're processing. Use it. That sentence hit differently. The dragon froze for half a second. Processing. Not instinct. Not fear. Processing. Something clicked inside its mind. The strange patterns from earlier shifted. Instead of overwhelming it, they started organizing. Like scattered chaos forming structure. The machine paused again. Cognitive resistance increasing. The dragon slowly rose. Its eyes glowed faintly now, not with magic, but with structured light. It looked at the machine. And for the first time it did not just feel hunted. It understood part of what was hunting it. The dragon spoke again, more steady now. You erase things, because you cannot understand them. The machine responded instantly. Understanding is not required. Only removal. The dragon tilted its head slightly. That is your weakness. The machine stopped completely for a fraction of a second. The old man stared at the dragon. Even he didn't expect that. The machine recalculated rapidly. Its surface flickered faster than before. Anomaly response shift. Termination priority increased. Energy gathered around it. The entire hall began to distort. The old man's voice dropped low. This is the point of no return. He looked at the dragon. You ready to trust me now? The dragon hesitated. Then slowly nodded. That single moment changed everything. The man slammed both hands onto the interface. The entire archive responded violently. Walls shifted. Light surged. Ancient systems that had been dormant for centuries awakened fully. The dragon felt it, no longer just knowledge inside its mind but connection. Like the structure of the entire place was becoming part of its perception. The machine fired. But the attack didn't land normally. Reality itself bent inside the hall. And the dragon stepped forward into it willingly. The moment the machine fired, the air in the hall tore apart like thin paper burning in reverse. Light bent inward, twisting into a collapsing tunnel of white distortion. The ground cracked without sound, as if reality itself had stopped agreeing with itself. The dragon stepped forward into it. Not away. Not back. Forward. Its body shook violently as the structured light inside its mind reacted. The old man's voice echoed behind it, distant but steady. Hold it together. Don't resist the system, sync with it. The dragon's breathing was sharp. Every instinct screamed to escape. But now instinct was no longer alone. Something else existed inside it, organized thought, patterns, logic woven into survival. It felt the machine trying to override it completely. But it also felt the archive pushing back. Two systems colliding. And it was in the middle. The dragon roared, but the sound was different now. Layered. Half raw emotion, half structured resonance that rippled through the hall like a command. The machine paused mid-attack. Interference detected. Unknown hybrid authority rising. The old man stood behind the central interface, his hands trembling slightly from the energy surge running through the archive. He looked exhausted, but his voice stayed sharp. Now, he said, take control of the flow. The dragon did not understand the words fully, but it understood the meaning. Control. Not survive. Control. It closed its eyes for a split second. Inside its mind the chaos changed shape. The overwhelming flood of unknown patterns began to align, like shattered glass slowly forming a map. The archive was not just inside the room anymore. It was inside it. The machine tried again. A second strike formed, more focused this time, aimed directly at the dragon's core signal. But this time the dragon saw it before it happened. Not physically. Structurally. It saw the attack as lines of intent, pathways of destruction forming before they fully existed. And it moved. The dragon twisted sideways, but not just with its body. It shifted its position through the logic of the hall itself, using the archive's response system like stepping stones. The attack missed. The machine froze again. Unexpected response vector. The old man exhaled sharply. Good, you're learning fast. The dragon opened its eyes. And for the first time there was clarity in them. I see it, it said quietly. The machine tilted slightly, recalculating. Its surface flickered as if trying to understand what had changed. The dragon stepped forward again. This time it did not stumble. You don't erase things because they are dangerous, it said, voice steadier now. You erase them because you cannot adapt. The machine responded instantly. Adaptation is failure controlled. The dragon gave a low, almost sad sound. No. It is survival that grows. The hall responded to that sentence. The lights brightened. The archive itself seemed to react. The old man looked up slightly as if confirming something he had hoped for but never fully believed. Then everything changed. The machine released a full extraction wave. The entire hall began collapsing inward, like reality being pulled into a single point. Shelves bent. Light fractured. The air turned heavy and sharp. The dragon felt its body strain. This was not just attack anymore. It was deletion. The old man shouted, "If it completes the extraction, everything here disappears, including you." The dragon's wings trembled. Then it made a choice. Not instinct. Decision. It stepped into the center of the collapsing field. The machine locked onto it instantly. Final extraction target confirmed. Energy spiraled around the dragon, pulling at its body, its mind, its connection to the archive. Pain surged through it, but it did not retreat. Instead, it reached back, mentally, into the system inside it. And it pushed. Not against the machine. Against the structure itself. The archive responded like a living network. The collapse slowed. Just slightly. The old man saw it and reacted immediately. "Yes, that's it. You're stabilizing the recursion layer." The dragon didn't understand the words, but it understood the effect. It was holding the system together. Barely. The machine intensified its output. Critical override initiated. The pressure increased. The dragon screamed, but did not move back. Its body began to fracture under the strain, glowing patterns spreading across its scales like breaking glass made of light. The old man stepped forward, risking the collapsing energy field. He placed one hand on the interface again. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. Then he added something lower, almost personal. "You were never meant to carry this alone." He triggered the final protocol. The archive responded instantly. A surge of structured energy shot through the hall, not destructive but organizing. The collapsing reality reversed direction. For a moment, everything froze. Machine. Dragon. Man. Even light itself. Then the system spoke again. Not the machine. Not the man. The archive. Hybrid consciousness accepted. The machine flickered violently. Error. Undefined authority. The dragon opened its eyes fully. And this time it was not just a creature standing in a collapsing hall. It was part of the system. It spoke one final time. "Stop." The command was simple. But it carried structure. The machine froze. Its attack stopped mid-execution. The collapsing field broke. Silence returned. Heavy. Broken. The machine's surface flickered once more. Retreat. Required. Then, slowly it began to withdraw upward, breaking apart into smaller units as it escaped through the shattered ceiling. The threat was gone. But the hall was not the same anymore. The dragon collapsed to the ground, exhausted, glowing patterns fading slowly from its body. The old man walked over and knelt beside it. For a long moment neither spoke. Then the dragon whispered, "What am I now?" The man looked around at the damaged archive, the shifting lights, the awakened system still humming softly. "You're the first bridge," he said. The dragon closed its eyes. Far above, something distant activated in response to the machine's retreat signal. Something much larger than the library. The old man noticed it too. His expression changed slightly. "That wasn't the end," he said quietly. "It was the notice." The archive lights flickered once. As if answering a call from somewhere far beyond the world.